Hi, welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I want to show you an onboarding flow that I created, right? They're able to shorten the time to first value from an average of 14 days to 9 days. While also increasing the customer satisfaction score by 10%. And all I just did was to add one thing. And this is one thing that I added, right? It made it possible for me as an onboarding specialist to quickly be able to dive into the pains and desires of the customer, right? And propose the right solutions with the product. And also, most importantly, this one thing that I added is also allowed me to be able to cut the onboarding discovering call, right? The duration of the onboarding discovering call. So it allowed me to cut it from 30 minutes to 20 minutes, right? So let's get, I want to show you this onboarding strategy. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So it all starts with a Google form. Now, this Google form is filled by the sales rep after the deal has closed with all the necessary details that is needed. And you will see that most especially, there is one thing here. This one thing called the upload transcript. This is where the sales rep uploads the transcript file. And this is the one thing that I actually added that transformed the entire outcome of the onboarding process. As we go deeper into this onboarding process, I'm going to explain to you how this transcript file influenced the onboarding process. So basically, this is just all the information. So once this gets submitted, the onboarding flow triggers. Now let's go to the onboarding flow. Now the onboarding flow starts right here in make.com, as you can see. It starts with a webhook, right? This webhook, once the form gets submitted, the webhook collects all the information from the onboarding form, right? And once it does that, the next thing that happens is a module that I set here called the set multiple variables. Now, as you can see that this is quite spread out. And because there are different automation paths that I'll be setting, I want to ensure that there is consistency. So that is why all the information that I collected from the webhook, I'm going to map them to different areas so that I'll be able to accurately, map them when I'm using them in different parts of the automation process. So that's just the idea of that part. But here's where things start to get interesting. You can see that this router right here has two different parts. There is one path right here and there's another path right here. Now, this is on the filters. Now, let me explain this to you. The first filter on the path is basically based on two conditions. If the payment is complete, right? If it's mapped as yes, based on this right here. If the see that there are two options, yes and no. Oh, if the payment is complete, right, that equals to yes. And if a transcript file is available, as you can see it right here, exists. Now, this path, everything right here gets triggered. Now, the second condition right here is over here. It is if the payment is also complete, but for some reason, the transcript file is not available, then this gets triggered. Now, why did I do that? Because I understand that sales cycles are different, right? Not all sales cycles are one on, one close, especially B2B. There are certain products that have long sales cycles that spreads out over weeks, months, and maybe even years. And you cannot just get one centralized transcript. So that's why I'm accounting for situations like that. So in case a transcript is not submitted, that is why I have that. But now let's start with the first automation that gets triggered. And that is based on if a transcript file is available and payment is complete. Now you can see it right here. The first thing that happens is a database. Now this database is created in Notion. But then this depends on your component, right? Now, but for this project, I'm using a Notion database. This is just where anything pertaining to the customer gets stored, right? Things like the client, the customer details, the tasks, right? The projects assigned to them, the tasks that need to be completed, any documentation that is related to them, it gets saved in this Notion database. And for this project, it's just really a simple database, as you can see it right here. This is the name of the client. You can see this is a particular document assigned to them. Then we have the tasks that are completed, that are assigned to them, right? You can see the name of each customer, right? Look at these are different customers. This is the name of the decision maker, rule of the different information that we need, right, for the database. They all get logged here automatically. And the different tasks that need to be completed, as you can see, done. If it's not yet done, it gets checked as not done, right? The priority, everything that just pertains to the code. Then also the project that, okay, what's the certain project you have to do for the customer right now? So this just simple database I created for this project. So once the database gets created, the next automation that triggers is Slack automation. Now, of course, this also depends on your company and how you do things. But for this company, is a Slack. Slack is where the information center for the company, right? So a message gets the internal thing gets notified in the Slack, say that okay, there's a new customer, all the detail, all the necessary details. It sends it to the Slack. Then also maybe a channel could be created for the customer and the CSM or whatever things are done at the company. And maybe there's a general channel in Slack that the customer needs to be added to. It's all gonna get triggered here. Now you can see that I have a sleep module here. Now, why did I put this sleep module? I put this sleep module because all this information is going to be triggered, but I want to ensure that this database right here has already been created for the particular customer before anything gets triggered after, because this video I'm going to be storing everything for the customer. And if it is not created, the automation will fail, right? Because it has nowhere to save all the information. And the reason why I put a sleep is because, as you can see right here, once the automation gets triggered, complete, I want to ensure that it is marked in the customer's database as done right here. As you can see, I want to ensure that it is marked as done. So that is why I put the sleep module here. So once it is completed and it is marked as done, I'm able to, if I log into the customer's database, I'm able to see that, okay, this is done. If it's not done, I see it's right there and I know what to do. So it just give an overview to ensure that the automation and the customer is moving through the onboarding process successfully. So now, once that is done, the next thing that happens is the email, the welcome email. Now, here is something interesting you need to know. You see, I did this email. There are two emails that we actually get sent, two welcome emails. The reason why this is like this is because for this particular business, the average customer value of each customer is quite on the high side. And in situations like that, there are certain things that start to come into play. Things like buyer's remorse, you understand? Reassurance, because that's such a huge contract. We want to ensure that the customer feels reassured right after. So the first email that gets sent is an email from the founder, as you can see right here. Now, this email isn't just any kind of email. I'm actually going to do a deep dive into how this email is very key into shaping the experience of the customer henceforth, right? Okay, so now as you can see, let me read that URL to you. Now this is the name of the email of the customer, right? Mike here, founder of TopSpain. I want to welcome you personally and thank you for joining us. When we started TopSpain 5 years ago, our mission was simple: to make customer support suck less, more efficient, more profitable, and a driver of loyalty instead of churn. Today, over 1,000 businesses trust us to power their support, and we are proud to have you on board. To make sure you get the most out of TopSpain, we've assigned a customer success manager from my team to support you. They are trained to help you hit your goals and see value faster, right? You will hear from them shortly. Now, you can see that. Oh, thank you again for choosing TopSpain. Yes, to a long, fruitful partnership. Mike, founder TopSpain. Now, you can see that this email, it actually does three things. The very first thing it does is, like I said, it provides reassurance and quenches any buyer's remorse that the customer might be feeling after paying such a huge amount, right? We want to ensure that it gets quenched as quick as possible. So that is why this feeling of receiving a warm welcome from the founder makes them feel at ease and reassures them that, okay, maybe they're in the right place. The next is also it provides is the feeling of exclusivity. The fact that they are receiving an email from the founder makes them feel special, right? Exclusive. That, oh wow, the founder sent me an email, right? So that's another thing it does. And the most important thing it actually does is that it transfers trust from the founder onto the customer success team, right? As you can see, right, he said to make sure you get the most out of TopSpin, we assign the customer success manager from my team to support you. They've been trained to help you hit your goals and see value fast. So you will hear from them shortly. So now when your customer finally hears from the customer success team, they feel at ease, right? They can quickly trust the customer success manager that is assigned to them because the founder has already said, okay, they've been trained and they are from me. So there's a quick, transfer of trust right here. So that's just some simple slide test that this email does that really shapes the customer onboarding experience. So now, once that's done, now you can see there's a slip right here. Now, of course, this slip is because remember I said the founder already said they're going to hear from the CSM shortly. So I just want things to be coherent. So that's why I put a little bit of delay between the email from the founder and the email from the assigned customer success manager or the onboarding specialist, whoever is in charge, right? Just to make things seem coherent to the customer. Then once that gets triggered, then there's also a sleep module. This also has to do with the same sleep module I said here, just to ensure that the database has been created in Notion so that it can get checked. Okay, yes, this is complete. So once that gets done, the fourth trigger is this is where things start to get interesting. The transcript that I mentioned, this is where we start to work with it. The first thing it does is that it gets saved onto a Google Drive. This is where I save the original copy, so I can always reference back to it. Then it gets transferred to Cloud Convert to convert from a TXT file to a PDF file. Now, this doesn't really have anything to do with the process. The reason I have to do it this way is because I could only get Google Gemini to work. And Google Gemini only accepts a PDF file, at least for what I could do. I would have actually preferred to use ChatGPT, but then I needed tokens, and to get my Nigerian card to work was quite stressful. So I just had to stick with Google Gemini for now. So, and Google Gemini needs PDF files. So that's why I had to convert the TXT transcript file to be PDF. Now, but basically, why this part is important is because I know the AI to help me to analyze the transcript and categorize it based on 5 criteria that I deem important. The first criteria is the business objective of the customer. Now, this has to do with the pains, the goals, the desires from anything they see relating to this on that sales call. I want the AI to be able to analyze that. Then the second criteria is the current situation of the customer, right? What are they doing right now? What is not working? What is working for them? I want to have context into this thing, right? Now, the third thing I also want to know from the from this transcript file is the required capabilities, right? What what are it is they said our product has to come with, for their goals to be achievable. I want to have context into these things, right? Then the fourth thing I want to know are the stakeholders, right? Who are the people that are influential in this company that play a role in the relationship between the customer and the business, right? I want to know who they are from this sales call. Then the last thing I also want to know is the customer journey. Any expectations the sales team might have set, right? What the customer is expecting right before they come to this onboarding specialist. I want to know all this thing. I want to have insight into there, because when I have insight to this thing, I'll be able to start the onboarding call with this context in mind. Right? I'm able to, even before I meet the customer, I'm able to know certain things about them. And I could have even maybe from the discussion, there are certain things I could even maybe get some insights for quick wins from the sales transcript. And also, it also allows me to quickly, get up to speed with during the discovery call. So I don't need to go over the things they've already told the sales team. I don't need to go over there. Instead, I am able to dive deeper into the root causes, right? Okay, what is actually causing this? Just to dive deeper to ensure that I'm able to get the right context of their business and propose the right solutions, right? This way, I'm also able to cut down the time. Like I mentioned, I'm able to cut down the duration it usually take for our onboarding call, right, from 30 minutes to 20 minutes, all whilst getting better insights and making it more enjoyable. Can you see how this transcript file is playing a key role in shaping the entire onboarding process and the experience for the customer? Now, one thing I should mention also is that when the customer receives an email from me, from the onboarding specialist, I include a link to the onboarding call there. So they can book an onboarding call, which also gets saved in my Notion database. There's a reminder that gets sent so that we can get on the call. And all the context I get from the transcript, I'm able to use it to undo that call. So basically, once the AI does the analysis, it uploads it to a Google Doc, right? So I can go there and see what it has done. But one more thing I need to let you know is that I do not just rely on the AI for the analysis. I also do my own personal analysis to ensure that any context the AI might have missed, I'm able to see it by myself, right? So it's not that rely on the AI. I'm just using it as a way to make my work faster. So, and also you can see there's a sleep module here as well, because I also want the database I want the database to have been created. So once that is done and it gets checked as marked. So that's just basically for the first criteria, which is if a payment is available, right? If the payment is complete and the transcript file is available, these are all the things that get triggered. So now for the second one, which is if a payment is made, but there is no transcript available, what happens during for that? Well, the same thing also happens. The customer also goes through the same process. As you can see, two emails get sent. There's also a Slack. The only thing that doesn't happen is the AI workflow. This right here, it doesn't apply here because there is no transcript to analyze. But instead, what happens? What I do is I set up a follow-up reminder, Notion, right? Like 5 minutes after the deal is closed, for me to follow up with the sales call. I also set a Google reminder on my calendar to ensure that I'm reminded wherever if I'm not in the office or something like that, just to ensure that I have it on my radar. So I reach out to the sales rep, right? Maybe we'll do a debrief, or they give me whatever they have, just to ensure that I have this context that can help me to do the onboarding call, you know, in the best possible way. But this is just basically how I was able to use that just that simple transcript file. I was able to use it to transform the entire onboarding experience. Now, in the next video, I am actually going to show you how I extract the insight that I extract from this onboarding, from this transcript. I'm going to show you how I use it to conduct the onboarding call to ensure that I'm able to get the right context of the customer and propose the right solution. I'm going to show you that in the next video. So basically, that is just how I map the onboarding process to ensure that that transcript file that I talked about allows me to do a deep dive into the customer, like even before the onboarding call gets started, right? From the analysis that the AI does, and from my own personal analysis, I'm able to extract inside these various categories so that I'm not starting the onboarding call on a blank slate. I'm able to actually get into the meat of the matter by the time your onboarding call starts without wasting the time of the customer or asking them questions that the sales team has already asked, right? And this way, we're able to get to the root cause as quick as possible. Like I said, in the next video, I will show you how I use these insights to actually conduct an onboarding call. So, see you next time.